Chapter 1. In my past life, during the bonding ceremony, my sister drugged me and claimed the extraordinarily powerful serpent beastman first, leaving me with nothing but a crippled pheasant beastman. Little did we know, the prideful and treacherous serpent clan never acknowledged her. My sister became obsessed with taming the serpent beast, eventually descending into madness. Yet that disabled pheasant beastman transformed into a phoenix of unmatched combat prowess. Helping me ascend the throne in glorious triumph, consumed by jealousy, my sister slit my throat during the coronation ceremony when I least expected it, sending blood spraying everywhere. The future throne and supreme glory should rightfully be mine. Just wait till you lose your mind, dear sister. In this reincarnated life, she was quick to choose the pheasant beastman phoenix. I facepalmed in disbelief. Did she really think a phoenix's rebirth was that easy, this time? I'll claim the throne through my own strength. I choose him. My younger sister stood with one hand on her hip, the other pointing urgently at Phoenix trapped in the cage. This was the scene that greeted me when I arrived at the training grounds. I realized then my sister had also been reborn. For generations, the royal family has maintained the tradition of adopting guardian beasts both to protect the princes and princesses, and to preserve the alliance between beastkin and humankind. On my coming-of-age day, Mother had my twin sister and me choose our adoptive partners, only for her to drug me so she could pick first. In our past life, my sister instantly fixated on Draco, that haughty yet alluring serpent beastman. To claim the throne, she needed a mate powerful enough to aid her ambition, towering and devastatingly handsome. The serpent-kin resembled an aloof deity, and to my shock, my sister actually fell for his icy charm. The stark contrast, Phoenix, the pheasant beastman. Phoenix was frail and sickly, with merely passable looks. Her timid eyes made her resemble a delicate white flower begging to be plucked. In our past life, my younger sister eagerly claimed the serpent beast, leaving Phoenix to me like some pitiful handout. Leaning against the Queen Mother, she cooed, "Sister, that pheasant suits you perfectly. I won't compete for it. As for this serpent beast, I suppose I'll reluctantly accept it." She sighed with feigned regret. Now she clings greedily to the harpy beastman, yet still has my best interests at heart. "Sister, I adore you most of all. This serpent beast is far too magnificent. It should rightfully be yours." "Cynthia, don't be absurd," Mother said with clear disapproval. Indeed, she'd moved heaven and earth to obtain the serpent beast for her youngest daughter, exhausting endless resources. Now that I'd inexplicably taken it from her, she naturally wouldn't allow it, though my sister and I are twins. The Queen Mother treats us completely differently. Gifted since childhood, I trained diligently and gained the ability to bond with spirit beasts far earlier than most. That contract should have been mine by right, but my sister objected. Frail and spoiled by our mother's indulgence, she grew up pampered and willful. Seeing me qualify for a spirit beast contract so young, she feared I'd claim all the worthy familiars, leaving her humiliated, so she wheedled our mother. My sister and I are still too young to form a spirit beast contract now. It would harm my sister's health, yet everyone under heaven knows, the younger the age when forming a spirit beast contract, the better, allowing both human and beast to grow together, advance in tandem, and reach the pinnacle of cultivation. Since your younger sister shows such concern for you, Minerva, you should wait a while longer. The Queen Mother affectionately pinched my younger sister's cheek, then turned to coldly inform me of her consent. She knew everything all along, yet made me wait 3 whole years, until my sister barely reached the age to form a spirit beast contract. "Mother, I want him, no one else." Clutching the Queen Mother's sleeve, my sister swayed it coquettishly, her eyes blazing with determination. Seeing such stubborn resolve, the Queen Mother sighed in resignation, unable to bring herself to refuse. "If that's what Cynthia really wants, then let her have it." My younger sister smirked in satisfaction, leaning against the Queen while mouthing silent words at me in challenge. Though others didn't catch it, I knew exactly what she was saying. "Sister, you'll never outdo me in this lifetime." I stood there indifferently, unmoved. "Minerva, your younger sister yielded the mighty serpent beast to you and chose the pheasant beastman for herself, as the elder sister. It's only natural to show reciprocity." The Queen Mother stood on the steps, assuming her imperial demeanor as she looked down at me with condescension, then let the serpent beast form a half-pact with Cynthia as well. After the Queen Mother spoke, the court officials grew restless, murmuring their discontent. "What is your Majesty thinking? Signing a half-contract is tantamount to stripping the crown princess of her inheritance rights." "Exactly. Everyone knows beast folk who sign half-contracts have their cultivation halved and lifespans cut short by half. In my past life, I contracted with a pheasant beast folk, yet no one ever mentioned granting me the other half of the contract." I looked up at the Empress Mother, her expression brooking no dissent, while my younger sister smirked at me with smug satisfaction. "I refuse," I declared. "How dare you defy our command?" The Empress Mother snapped impatiently. "Is this what the royal etiquette masters taught you? Your sister went out of her way for your benefit, yet you won't even sign a half contract." Such selfishness, just like in my past life. History repeated itself. I was forever bound to remain with the leftover one. My sister drugged me to make me late, then brazenly took the serpent beast for herself, leaving me with nothing but a pheasant beastman. The Queen Mother didn't even investigate my tardiness, simply scolding, "Is this how you disregard time? Where are your manners?" She then cast a proud glance at my sister before turning back to me with icy disdain. "Aren't you going to thank your sister? She was considerate enough to let you have the pheasant beastman." In truth, the serpent beast possessed formidable power and noble lineage. Securing it would have greatly enhanced both my cultivation and future claim to the throne. As for the pheasant beast folk, though physically frail, they possess an arrogance and conceit that surpasses even that of the serpentkin, just as I anticipated. The serpentkin's inherent power grew exponentially with each day of cultivation, gradually elevating my sister's strength as well. The pheasant beast folk couldn't endure daily training hardships, constantly seeking amusement. Upon hearing royal consorts lived in luxury, he even shamelessly flirted with me for weeks. I've zero tolerance for such nonsense. One knockout blow ended his delusions. The forcing him to train daily yielded minimal progress. The discipline was necessary. Every time my sister passes by, she never misses a chance to mock me, with everyone eagerly watching my humiliation. Yet the Queen Mother insists it's my sister who's being gracious, that I owe her, and should kneel in gratitude. I only took what she discarded. Yet they make it seem like I robbed her, later. The serpent beast grew more powerful and arrogant, even disrespecting the Queen Mother. It tormented my sister daily, leaving her suffering in silence until she resorted to forbidden arts to tame it, only to lose herself to demonic cultivation. Yet my pheasant beastman kept refining its skills, surpassing all expectations until it underwent nirvanic rebirth in flames, emerging as a once-in-a-millennium phoenix. When the Queen Mother learned of this, she demanded I surrender the phoenix to form a healing contract with my sister. I refused outright. The Queen Mother condemned me as unfilial, then succumbed to illness soon after from excessive worry over my sister. Chapter 2. With my sister lost to cultivation deviation, I became the undisputed heir to the throne. At my coronation, my sister appeared out of nowhere and slit my throat in one swift motion. As blood sprayed everywhere, I heard my sister snarl with venomous jealousy. "This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, wretched creature, I wouldn't have come to this. The phoenix throne was rightfully mine. As darkness consumed me, my final thought was, as if that belongs to you. What a joke." Chapter 3. When my sister took the pheasant beastman away during my rebirth, she deliberately came up to me and said smugly, "Just keep the snake beastman for yourself, sis. I'm being generous by leaving him to you. I'll be waiting for the day when that snake beast toys with you, the day you come begging to me." That delusional woman, already on her second life, still clings to beastmen for support. Has she ever stopped to think? The pact between beastmen and humans is symbiotic. Beastmen share their lifespan and cultivation, while humans stabilize their dantian to prevent chi deviation, though that pheasant beastman carries phoenix blood. He's unbearably mischievous in his early stages, half-hearted in cultivation. I constantly have to regulate his dantian and temper his impulses to make progress. My cultivation progress had stagnated completely, so I searched far and wide for answers, even injuring my meridians in pursuit of a fire-attributed spiritual fruit. I sighed while looking at this phoenix that still resembled a common pheasant. This lazy bum spends all day coasting instead of improving himself. Just looking for powerful patrons. Who knows what'll happen now that he's fallen into my sister's hands, though to be fair, he'd long grown tired of my dull personality. Maybe he'll be happier without me. For now, my beastman is a serpentine one. I had the serpent beastman brought to my chamber. With his aloof demeanor and striking features, my inner aesthete couldn't help but stare at him longingly. To my surprise, he actually blushed and stammered, You, stop staring at me like that, ugh." In my past life I never heard that serpent beasts could be this bashful. This Gapmo is hilarious. I love it. So I reached out like a rogue and lifted his chin. Draco instantly reverted to his true form, a pitch-black little snake, scurrying around trying to hide. I grabbed him in an instant, and the little creature had nowhere to escape, so it could only coil tightly around my fingers. So adorable. I gently stroked its body with my hand. The texture was amazing. Cool and smooth like the finest silk. "Stop touching me, stop." The snake's big, round eyes were filled with bashfulness and nervousness. "Sister, want to form a pact? I'm super easy to bond with." Chapter 4. I frowned. Is forming a bond this easy? Normally, beast folk would spend considerable time with their potential partner before willingly opening their dantian to establish a contract. The little snake nuzzled my fingers pleadingly when it saw my hesitation, as I stroked its scales. I wondered how such an adorable creature could have been portrayed so differently in my past life. Your Highness, the first princess. The second princess requests your presence at her betrothal banquet. She specifically asks that you bring your contracted beast. The palace maid handed me my sister's invitation bearing both her name and Phoenix's. My eyebrows shot up. I knew Phoenix would woo my sister. But I never expected their engagement to happen this soon. Come along, sweetheart. Let's go see the excitement, I said, tugging at Draco's sleeve. The beastkin boy nodded with flushed cheeks, making me grin like a doting ant. My sister and Phoenix stood in the grand hall wearing vibrant red ceremonial attire, beaming as they greeted guests. God knows what's going through their heads, making such a spectacle over a mere engagement. Well, look who's here, big sister. My sister sauntered over with smug eyes, grinning while eyeing Draco beside me. I glanced at Draco and saw his usually indifferent face darken with unmistakable irritation. You seem to be doing quite well, little sister. Have you formed a pact with your spirit beast yet? At my words, my sister's face darkened. She seemed about to retort, but after glancing at the surrounding guests, she forced a smile and said, "No need for your concern, elder sister. I shall form my covenant with Phoenix today." I glanced at Phoenix greeting guests in the distance. Oh, and mother. I suppose the Queen will be delighted to hear this news. Someone as shrewd as the Queen Mother must have seen through Phoenix's true colors from the start. My sister contracted him as a beast companion. That's harmless enough. She could always form another contract. But marriage, that's entirely different. She'd be shackled while Phoenix reaps all the benefits. No wonder I couldn't find Her Majesty at the engagement banquet. She's probably furious with her favorite youngest daughter. Just as I predicted, my sister's expression grew increasingly grim. Congratulations, dear sister, it's getting late. I must take my leave now. After upsetting my sister, I felt rather pleased with myself. Ignoring her increasingly resentful glare, I simply took Draco's arm and left. Little did we know, my sister in Phoenix's chamber would catch fire that very night. My sister lay writhing on the ground, engulfed in flames as palace servants desperately doused her with bucket after bucket of water, a truly pitiful sight. Phoenix stood at a distance, watching coldly. When she saw me approaching, she flashed me an innocent, flower-like smile. Draco noticed and immediately shielded me completely with his body, keeping my distance until the flames died down. I cautiously approached and gently reminded my sister, "What's going on here? Getting married at dawn and already talking divorce by dusk." The palace lay in ruins as my sister stood pale-faced, muttering blankly, "Phoenix, how dare you force a reverse pact on me? I'll kill you. I swear I'll kill you." No wonder, when I checked earlier, only she bore injuries while Phoenix remained completely unscathed. In a standard human-beast pact, wounds heal instantly as they transfer to the more resilient beastkin. A reverse pact flips this completely. Hearing my voice, my sister snapped back to reality, eyes bloodshot and burning with hatred. As if she'd finally pieced together the truth. "It's all your fault. You must have told Phoenix to trick me into that curse pact. You vile wretch, I'll kill you." My sister lunged at me with her fire-scorched hands, blackened and charred, but Draco shielded me behind him. She glared at Draco and shrieked, "You're protecting her. How dare you? What kind of witchcraft has she used to enslave you all?" Her face twisted into an increasingly grotesque mask of rage as she ranted. Draco watched her with growing revulsion. "Why would he protect you over me? You were the one who abandoned him first." Seeing her deranged state, I quietly erected a barrier. Any attempt to approach me would meet the bite of my blade. Chapter 5. The next instant, she lunged at me with claws bared, only for Draco to backhand her midair. Snap! I heard the distinct sound of my sister's bones cracking and couldn't help but sigh. Even the Phoenix from my past life never possessed such terrifying strength. That serpent is truly formidable. His Majesty arrives. The moment the Queen Mother arrived and witnessed my sister being sent flying, she urgently summoned imperial physicians and ordered attendants to assist her. "Mother, it hurts so much. Am I dying? I can't bear to leave you." My sister fainted after saying this. "Take the second princess back to her chambers and treat her properly. If she doesn't recover, I'll have your heads." The Queen Mother's face was filled with anguish and urgency, though my sister had defied her by getting engaged to Phoenix. Seeing her youngest daughter injured still broke her heart. Slap! The Queen Mother slapped me across the face without a second thought, completely disregarding right or wrong. "Is this how you treat your own sister, letting your spirit beast attack your own flesh and blood?" Pressing a hand to my burning, swollen cheek, I couldn't understand why the treatment differed so drastically between daughters. In my past life, when my younger sister used me as her training dummy and plaything, the Queen Mother only praised her diligence while turning a blind eye to my wounds, yet somehow he laid hands on me without warning. I blinked my reddened eyes. "It wasn't me, she struck first. Draco was only trying to protect me. How dare you talk back? Is this what you've learned of royal decorum?" The Queen Mother grew livid as she summoned her spirit beast, the colossal diamond ape, towering like a mountain. The diamond ape loomed as the Queen Mother demanded, "Will you admit your wrongdoing?" I clenched my fists and bit my lip. "I'm not wrong, Vidra, tear that serpent beast apart." The Queen Mother said these words while staring straight at me. "Your Majesty mustn't. If the spirit beast dies, the first princess will perish too. Indeed, Your Majesty cannot do this." Amidst the murmurs of the crowd, the Empress Dowager declared, "Silence, do you think I cannot execute even a princess?" In that instant, I felt an unexpected peace. My entire previous life had been spent yearning for my mother's love. I'd believed that if I became exceptional enough, cultivated my skills to perfection, I might finally earn her gaze, that she might speak of me with pride. Even ascending the throne was merely proof that I was her most worthy child. I'd clung to a shred of hope for her affection, yet now she utters, "Do you think I cannot execute even a princess?" With all hope shattered, my heart turned cold toward the Queen Mother, and in that moment, I understood, the bonds between people are predestined, no amount of struggle can alter what's already fated. The golden ape charged at Draco on the Queen Mother's command, only for Draco to morph into serpent form and constrict it in a deadly coil. Suppressing my disappointment toward the Queen Mother, I watched anxiously. Draco's cultivation was profoundly advanced, otherwise, the Queen Mother wouldn't have considered binding him to my sister back then, but whether this depth of power could defeat the golden ape remains entirely uncertain. After what felt like an eternity, the golden ape finally succumbed, coughing up blood. At that moment, the Queen Mother spoke. "What? You'd kill your own mother?" I motioned for Draco to stand down. Chapter 6, Mother, the Imperial Succession Competition in 5 years is about to begin. Would you kindly send my regards to my sister? I shall take my leave with Draco now. I bowed respectfully to the Empress, guiding Draco step by step out of Jingyang Palace, leaving behind my past obsession with familial bonds. "My dear Ranran, are you undergoing metamorphosis?" I frowned while carefully applying medicine to his wounds, noticing a faint blue glow emanating from his body. In my past life, even Phoenix glowed crimson right before his rebirth. The Aleuthian man's ears turned blood-red as I undid his robes. "Aren't you afraid those villains will come after you, sis?" The boy's cool voice whispered by my ear. "Terrified. That's why we're running. I've got it all planned out." I pinched Snakey's ear. "Damn, it's burning up. Your cultivation is impressive, but I detected a blockage in your dantian during my examination. We must find the cause by journeying across the 9 provinces." "Agreed," Draco nodded. "In this lifetime, you belong to me." I lay on the bed, eyelids heavy with drowsiness, barely catching his words. For 5 years, Draco and I traveled freely across mountains and rivers, living without a care in the world. By sheer luck, we encountered a miracle-working physician who diagnosed at first glance, Draco has reached the time of dragon metamorphosis and is about to transform. Throughout history, only one serpent beast has ever ascended to dragonhood, and that legend has long faded from this world, yet now my Draco is becoming the second. Overjoyed, I tugged at the physician's sleeve and asked, "Master, when will his transformation occur?" The mystic healer said, "For a serpent to ascend as a dragon, it must endure profound sorrow. Only then can grief become its horns and true draconic form emerge." Though utterly bewildered, Draco simply pulled me away by the hand. "Would you really think less of me, sister, if I never became a dragon?" Seeing the pitiful look in Draco's eyes, I gently stroked his head in reassurance. "No matter what happens, you'll always be my spirit beast, just a spirit beast." Draco murmured something I couldn't quite catch. "Come here, it's time for today's cultivation practice. We mustn't waste any time. I must defeat my sister, for my past self, for who I am now, and for Draco. If I fail, she'll surely hunt us down without mercy." 5 years passed in a blink, and the training ground was now packed with spectators. The heir's succession was never the emperor's decision. Instead, a trial would be held 30 years after his coronation. Every prince and princess was eligible to compete. With no imperial interference, their contracted spirit beasts would battle, victors crowned as rulers, while the defeated became outcasts at the mercy of others. Sister remains as blunt as ever. "Very well, I'll leave your corpse intact. Consider it my final act of sisterly kindness." The younger sister sneered, her face brimming with malicious triumph. "Phoenix, show yourself." In an instant, an enormous phoenix materialized before them, wreathed in flames and radiating majestic power. On the specially constructed dueling platform, a black serpent and an obsidian phoenix locked gazes, the very air seeming to still between them. The phoenix beat its wings, ready to take flight, but the black serpent struck without hesitation, coiling around the dark phoenix in a death grip. Boom. Chapter 7. With a thunderous roar, the phoenix spewed black flames in a desperate attempt to break free, yet to no avail. I'm not worried about Draco. My focus is entirely on Phoenix. In my past life, I had to push Phoenix to train daily and stabilize his core energy just to achieve minimal progress. When I learned of his phoenix lineage, I fed him my heart's blood for half a year to prepare his rebirth, not to mention spending a decade gathering rare elixirs for his transformation, yet now, he's achieved nirvana in merely 5 years. The feather color is all wrong too. Last life they were flaming crimson, utterly resplendent, but now they're pitch black. What in the world is going on? My mind's flooded with questions. Has the world gone mad for black these days? You forced my hand. You drove me to this. Every last one of you deserves to die. My sister fixed me with a venomous glare, her eyes burning with primal hatred like a jungle beast thirsting for blood, ready to tear me limb from limb. My sister produced a glowing orb, and instantly the sky turned pitch black. This was forbidden magic even the heavens forbade. That's the soul-devouring elixir. The second princess has gone mad. Run for your lives. Run. The crowd scattered in panic, and within moments, the vast training ground held only the two of us. The soul-devouring elixir is forged from the flesh and blood of kin, annihilating their very souls. When consumed by spirit beasts, it grants centuries of cultivation power. In an instant, a phoenix's cry pierced the heavens. Phoenix radiated scorching energy, his entire body wreathed in flames, yet these weren't the righteous orange-red flames, but sinister black ones. Draco strained with all his might to maintain control as the black phoenix soared, diving straight toward the serpent. Seeing Draco about to lose, I quickly drew a magic circle to channel energy for him. Well, sister, you'd actually risk your life to empower that black serpent. What a devoted master you are. If that's how it is, let me lend you a hand, sister. With those words, my younger sister swung her sword at me. Maintaining the magic array left me immobilized, forcing me to erect a barrier for temporary protection. Yet even so, I couldn't withstand my sister's relentless assaults. Each strike sent crushing waves of pain through my very core. I finally lost control, spewing a mouthful of blood. This is it, I thought. I'm going to die. The next instant, the heavenly Tao unexpectedly unleashed the ninefold thunder tribulation. In a flash, the winds howled and the skies darkened with roiling storm clouds. Witnessing my bloodied state, Draco's grief and fury shattered his inner demons, triggering his metamorphosis from serpent to dragon. The obsidian sky cracked open as 9 waves of primordial lightning cascaded downward. Primal energies raged through Draco's meridians, tearing them apart only to rebuild them anew. At last, the heavenly tribulation ceased. A thunderous dragon's roar echoed forth, and through our pact, my wounds healed completely as my cultivation surged. The colossal dragon circled midair, radiating overwhelming pressure that forced the black phoenix to surrender with a pitiful cry. The obsidian dragon showed no mercy, tearing its foe apart without hesitation. In its final moments, Phoenix transformed into human form and whispered a single word: regret. I blinked and pretended not to see. My sister suffered severe backlash when her spirit beast died, the broken contract draining her vitality until she coughed up blood. Seeing me approach, her face twisted in panic as she wailed like a frightened child. Sister, you can't kill me. I beg you, we're family. I'm the only kin you have left in this world. I sighed, my heart ultimately relenting. Just cling to your wretched life then, Draco. Let's go. To my shock, my sister instantly drew her sword and lunged at me. Die, sister. Anticipating this, I materialized a spirit blade and ran her through without hesitation. Why? This isn't fair. I won't accept this. My sister collapsed to the ground, coughing up blood, her eyes burning with hatred. His Highness has arrived. Clad in imperial robes, I stood before the assembled court officials, feeling as though lifetimes had passed. Elder sister, a man's deep voice murmured by my ear, and I turned to face him. Since Draco's draconic transformation, his features grew increasingly striking, perpetually captivating me with an almost ethereal allure. Sister, will you make me your imperial consort? Yes. Story 2. 3 years into the apocalypse, the zombie virus was overcome, but I was pushed into the zombie horde. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. I'll do whatever it takes to stay alive, but I didn't expect that I wasn't the only one who was reborn. When I was woken up by Timothy slapping my head, I was in a trance and didn't hear his endless scolding at all. The company hired you to work, not to slack off and sleep. You should treat the company as your home. Timothy was the first colleague I met after joining the company, and he was also my underground boyfriend. At the beginning, he said he didn't want to disclose our office romance, so over the years, we've been dating secretly. Our dating spots are either at his place or mine. In the company, we either look at each other without saying a word or he bossed me around. I've been enduring it all this time. Now, looking at his ugly face, I quickly pulled out a sharp pair of scissors from the pen holder. I really want to deal with him with one strike. This person was the culprit who caused my tragic death in my previous life, but the bright sunshine shining through the window, the fresh air, and the traffic outside the window all told me that it's better to avoid trouble. The apocalypse is about to break out, and I don't have time. I quickly packed my personal belongings and forcefully pushed Timothy, who was still nagging away. His back hit the corner of the wall, and he couldn't help but groan in pain. Just as he was about to fly into a rage, I interrupted him. You do treat the company as your home, but is the company really your home? You're just a worker, yet you want to act like a leader. You've got the wrong person. Get lost. We're breaking up. I quickly left the company, ignoring Timothy, who was stunned by my words. I quickly took a taxi home and blocked Timothy and my best friend on my phone. After returning to the rental house, I tried to calm down and think. The pain of being bitten alive by zombies in my previous life still haunted me, too. In my previous life, I struggled to carry several overweight suitcases and went back to his hometown with Timothy to meet his parents. I thought we were finally going to have a happy ending, but I didn't expect that my best friend Mila was with us. As soon as we entered the village, the apocalypse broke out, and everyone was trapped in the village. To prevent the zombies from entering the village chief led the villagers to block the way into the village. Timothy had the bad habit of being lazy and gluttonous. Mila even said that she was brought back by me, and I was the one responsible for us being trapped here. The village was short of supplies, feeling guilty. I was like Wang Baochuan and dug wild vegetables for them for 2 years. However, Mila couldn't stand the isolated life of eating wild vegetables every day. Behind my back, she urged Timothy to run away with her, but they came back crawling, with a disgusting horde of zombies following behind. Later, the zombie horde swept through the village like the Japanese invaders. When the blood-covered zombies knocked me down and opened their mouths to bite me, fortunately, the rescue team arrived. The captain of the rescue team was in a tough outfit, with sharp facial features. Although it was the first time I saw him, he seemed familiar. Under his leadership, I was safely taken to the safe base. In a village of nearly 300 people, only 17 were left alive, and Timothy and Mila were luckily among them. After coming out of the village, I learned that zombies were everywhere, and the safe base was short of supplies. Resources were limited. The most common methods to obtain supplies were to fight zombies and patrol near the base. In the 3rd year after the apocalypse broke out, I heard that the zombie virus had been overcome and was in the experimental stage. The zombie crisis would end soon, and humanity finally had hope. On that day, in order to exchange for a bucket of braised beef noodles, Mila insisted on dragging me and Timothy out to contribute. The 3 of us were patrolling near the base as usual, but she insisted on joining the combat team to fight the zombies. Her unlucky nature attracted a wave of zombies. In order to buy time to escape, she and Timothy pushed me into the zombie horde together. The 2 of them even ran away hand in hand as if they were a couple. When the zombies with brain matter and blood on them and severely decayed bodies bit my body, I subconsciously closed my eyes. No, Sarah, no. In the moment of being pulled and bitten, I vaguely heard someone calling my name. But the next second, my consciousness was submerged in pain. 3. Now I'm reborn. There's 1 month left before the apocalypse breaks out. I have to stay alive. But after graduating for 2 years, I've only saved 1 million yuan frugally, which is far from enough. After the apocalypse, the order will collapse. I have to find a way to survive before that. First, I opened various lending apps like JD, Taba, and Ant Financial, and borrowed the maximum amount I could. Then I went to major banks to apply for credit cards and overdraw to the maximum limit, and managed to scrape together 5 million yuan. Finally, I opened Boss Yupin and applied to be the housekeeper of a villa in the suburbs of the city that had been unoccupied for a long time. After that, I tried to find a way to renovate the villa. I felt sorry for the owner of the villa, but before the apocalypse broke out, I had to find a safe place. I had to use the limited money to stock up on supplies and do a good job of safety protection, as I really didn't have money to buy a house. For there are 26 days left before the end of the world. I successfully got the key to the villa. I quickly called the decoration company and asked them to send people to install and renovate the villa. The outer wall of the villa was originally 2 meters high. I asked the decoration company to raise it to 5 meters, about the height of 2 floors, and install a high-voltage power grid on the fence. I replaced all the doors and windows of the villa with explosion-proof and unbreakable ones, pasted one-way see-through film on all the glass in the villa, and installed soundproof facilities on the walls. Zombies have a keen sense of smell and hearing. When I move and have fun in the house, it will definitely make noises, so I have to minimize the sound that spreads outside, since I can't go out after the apocalypse. Water source is the most important. I also asked the construction team to dig 2 wells in the small garden of the villa, looking at the small flower beds separated in the garden. After thinking about it, I asked the construction team to dig out all the landscape plants in the flower beds. I dug 1 or 2 of them into pools, and turned over the soil of the remaining ones, preparing to plant vegetables later. Just having water is not enough. I'm used to living with electricity. Not having electricity after the apocalypse is definitely a tragedy. Moreover, the high-voltage power grid on the wall also needs a power source. I also asked the construction team to install a solar power supply system on the roof to prevent malfunctions. I directly asked for 2 sets. The team leader of the construction team looked at me with a strange expression. This renovation is too big. It will take time to purchase materials and start the work. It will take at least a month to complete. I quickly took out the prepared bank card and mobile phone chat records. This won't do. The owner of the villa said that money is not a problem. He is willing to pay twice the original decoration price, but the construction progress must be fast. It must be completed within 10 days. After hearing the price, the team leader was overjoyed and immediately motivated. I knew the deal was done, guaranteed to complete the task. I looked calm on the surface, but I was secretly delighted inside. The villa has an owner, and I can't move it easily. After being hired as the housekeeper, I contacted the owner of the villa, using the excuse that the villa had been unoccupied for a long time, and many facilities were damaged, and there were weeds in the yard. Then I took the opportunity to put forward my request. Can I do some repairs to the villa, replace the broken equipment, and remove the grass in the yard? After getting the owner's consent, I deleted some chat records, leaving only the message that the owner of the villa agreed to my renovation. Then I found the property management and the construction team to start the work. Although it was a bit unethical, after the apocalypse broke out, the world would fall into chaos. I had to find a shelter for myself before that. After that, I started to stockpile supplies. During this period, I called my younger brother Zachary and urgently asked him to drive his big truck to me immediately. 5. There are 20 days left before the end of the world. The construction team was still working, and the workers were coming and going in the villa during the construction. As a girl, I couldn't buy supplies too blatantly. I could only drive my 4-seater car to slowly stock up, and planned to let Zachary help me stockpile supplies when he arrived. In the past few days, I went to our T-Mart to buy daily necessities, feminine hygiene products, toothpaste, toothbrush, towel, bath towel, shampoo, body wash, laundry detergent, toilet paper, facial tissue, etc. I also bought some food that can be stored for a long time: rice, flour, self-heating hot pot, spicy and sour noodles, loasafen, stinky rice noodles, dried noodles, etc., oils, salt, soy sauce, light soy sauce, vinegar and other seasonings. After buying them, I put them in the car and moved them into the villa by myself after the construction team left every night. The villa has 3 floors, with about 200 square meters on each floor, 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms and 2 bathrooms. There are 2 basements. The first basement has 3 rooms, a living room and a bathroom. The second basement is empty and remains at a relatively low temperature for a long time, which is an excellent place to store supplies. There are 18 days left before the apocalypse breaks out. On this day, after I finished shopping as usual, I put the things in the car and was driving home when I received a call that Zachary had arrived in City N. I gave him the address of the villa and asked him to wait for me at the villa gate. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw Zachary and a man in a black tough outfit standing in the villa. The construction team was huffing and puffing to do the final finishing work. The villa had changed a lot. The outer wall of the villa had been raised and a high-voltage power grid had been installed. The flower beds in the villa had been dug out, and 2 wells stood quietly. I walked up quickly and speculated inwardly. It's strange. How did these 2 get in? Hearing the sound, Zachary and the man turned to look at me. When Zachary saw me, he was overjoyed and then introduced the man beside him to me with an embarrassed expression. "Sis, this is Brother Alexander." The man had a handsome face, but there was a murderous aura about him. I reached up my hand and smiled, ready to greet him, but my smile froze instantly because of Zachary's astonishing words. Cough, he's also the owner of this villa. It seemed that I was doomed. I hadn't stockpiled much supplies, and I didn't have extra money to restore the villa to its original state. I awkwardly invited the man into the living room of the villa. The man straightened his back and strode forward, inspecting as he walked. "Sis, why are you making such a big move with this villa? Do you want to go to the sky?" Zachary and I whispered behind the man, but this attention-seeking guy said something astonishing again, and I reached out and slapped him. "Stop being glib. If I could go to the sky, I definitely wouldn't take you with me." 6. In the living room, the 3 of us stared at each other. I was thinking about how to explain all this. Zachary was the person I was closest to and trusted the most. I could tell him without hesitation that I was reborn and that the apocalypse was coming, this magical thing. But Alexander, I pulled Zachary aside and asked solemnly, "Is Alexander trustworthy?" Zachary was about to make a joke, but seeing my serious expression, he put away his playful look and said seriously, "He's my team leader. I can guarantee his trustworthiness." After struggling for a while, I decided to tell them everything about the upcoming apocalypse, but I hid the fact that I was reborn during the process. A long silence passed. I had no choice but to speak again. I know it's absurd, and you may not believe it, but the apocalypse is really coming. Otherwise, why would I stockpile so many supplies? Alexander clenched the handle of the chair tightly, with his veins bulging, as if he was trying his best to endure. Since I promised to allow you to renovate the villa, you can do it as you like. As for the apocalypse you mentioned, don't spread it widely for now. I'll take care of it. After saying that, when he saw me looking at him, he quickly let go of his hand as if the previous scene was an illusion of my eyes. I didn't know whether Alexander believed what I said, but he really let me renovate the residence. He even pointed out some details that I hadn't noticed to the construction team. I only knew that Zachary didn't believe it at all. He was only 20 years old and was still in college. He was working hard to earn money during the summer vacation. He was at an age full of hope for the world and the future, but seeing my appearance, he still gave me all the money he had saved. I didn't persuade him much. Sometimes, experiencing the cruelty of human nature later is also a good thing. Before that, all I could do was to stockpile enough supplies for several people. 7. The next day, Alexander drove Zachary's big truck and accompanied me to do the shopping, while Zachary watched the construction team do the final finishing work. As soon as we arrived at the mall, the two of us divided the work. Alexander first went to discuss with the mall owner about bulk purchasing of large quantities of supplies, and I went to the supermarket to buy some small quantities of durable necessities. I was pushing the shopping cart when I met Timothy and Mila strolling in the supermarket arm in arm. In the shopping cart they were pushing together, there were several bags of rice, oil, and snacks. As soon as Timothy saw me, he immediately let go of Mila's hand and rushed over to grab me. "Sarah, where have you been? I haven't been able to contact you these days." Before I could pull his hand away, when he saw the things in my shopping cart, his face changed, and he asked me in a hurry, "You bought so many supplies at once. Tell me, do you know what's going to happen in advance?" I was shocked, but I remained calm on the surface. There was a flood in my hometown, and I came to buy some supplies to send back. "But what are you buying so much rice and flour for?" The week before, there was a severe flood in my hometown, and most of the houses in the village were flooded. Fortunately, the country had already made arrangements for the residents to relocate. After hearing this, Timothy's face relaxed. He stared at the list of supplies in my shopping cart with a greedy look. "I couldn't contact you in the past 2 days, so I had to ask your best friend to come out and buy some things. Also, I'm planning to retire early. Since you're here, don't send these things back. Anyway, they won't be used in the end. Take all these things with you, and the three of you will find a secluded village to live in seclusion for 3 years. As he spoke, he picked up my shopping list, which listed all kinds of products including food, clothing, housing and transportation that I was about to buy. The more he looked at it, the more satisfied he seemed. Mila leaned against Timothy, poking her head out from beside his shoulder. She looked at my list too, happily tugging at Timothy's arm. "Since Sarah has already bought all these things, can I buy more pretty clothes?" Mila was still acting coquettish with Timothy, but I couldn't help feeling dazed. In the past, Timothy had always yearned for life in a bustling city. I once mentioned that I was under too much pressure and wanted to go back to a small county town with him and find a stable job. He refused without hesitation, sternly emphasizing that as a college graduate from the countryside, going back to a small county town would only invite ridicule. To save face, he always wanted the best in terms of food, clothing, and daily necessities. Now, however, he couldn't wait to hide in a village. I thought it was absurd enough that I had been reborn, unexpectedly. I wasn't the only one. I snatched the list from his hand. Looking at the two lovebirds, I suppressed my anger and sullen his face. "Get lost. You two, the cheating scumbag and the slut, are being so blatant. Do you think I'm a fool, someone who deserves to slave away for you?" I pushed the cart as if to leave. Timothy, however, flew into a rage. "You can break up with me, but only if you leave the supplies you bought." "Then I'll agree to the breakup," I sneered. "Take a look at yourself in the mirror when you have time. You're good at calculating so loud. I can hear it right in my face." Timothy stepped forward to block my cart, his eyes filled with anger. He raised his hand to hit me, but in mid-air, a long, powerful hand stopped him. Alexander had somehow appeared beside me. At nearly 6 feet 3 inches, he made the 5 feet 7 inches Timothy look petty. 8. Timothy was pushed away. He stumbled and fell against the shelf behind him. Scared by Alexander's imposing manner, he took a step back but still defiantly retorted, "Who the hell are you? Are you crazy? What business is it of yours when I discipline my girlfriend?" Alexander ignored him, shielding me by his side. He glanced at me, his voice laced with concern. "Are you okay?" I shook my head. Timothy, as if he had been cuckolded, began to maliciously slander me. "So you found a rich sugar daddy? No wonder you dare to break up with me." Mila moved closer to Timothy. placing her hand on his chest to soothe him. "Brother Timothy, a boring woman like her will be dumped in less than 2 days. She won't even know how she dies. Maybe she'll end up like last time when she was killed by the Mila." Timothy interrupted her in a panic, but was suddenly knocked to the ground by a punch from Alexander. Blood oozed from the corner of his purple, bruised mouth. "Help, murder." Mila started shouting without regard for the occasion. I was startled by Alexander's action and quickly pulled him back. "Don't make a scene. This is a supermarket." Many onlookers had already gathered around. Mila tried to pull Timothy up from the ground, but his large weight was too much for her. I crouched down, a cold smile on my face that didn't reach my eyes. I leaned in close to them and said in a low voice that only they could hear, "This is a society ruled by law, and we should abide by the law. But what if it weren't? Now that I'm with a powerful person, do you think you can escape for long?" The two of them didn't dare to say a word, their eyes full of fear of Alexander. "It seems we all understand each other. If you behave yourselves during this time, everything will be fine. Otherwise, I won't mind getting my hands a little bloody." I stood up, dusted off my pants, and walked towards Alexander. "Let's go. We still have a lot to do." After returning to the villa with Alexander and loading the supplies, I started to sort and store them properly. In the following days, I didn't go out again. Only Alexander went out occasionally, leaving early and returning late with Zachary. Sometimes I didn't see them all day. 2 days before the apocalypse broke out, I suddenly felt restless and got up early for the first time in a long while. At 5 in the morning, before dawn, I went into the living room to get a glass of water. I was startled by a dark figure sitting on the sofa. Alexander sat there, silent. When he saw me, his lips moved, but no sound came out. I was about to speak. Zachary, with a bag on his shoulder, came downstairs in a hurry. When he saw me, he stopped and slowly walked up to me. "Sis, you haven't slept." I gave Zachary a light kick. "We've already stocked up most of the supplies. Are you planning to go out and have fun with that bag on your back? Do you think it's safe out there?" Zachary didn't banter with me as usual. He lowered his head, pursed his lips, and unconsciously fidgeted with the strap of his bag. This was his telltale sign of hiding something from me. I took a sip of cold water. The chill flowed down my throat and into my body, clearing my mind instantly. Looking at the two silent men, I unconsciously tightened my grip on the cup, trying to keep my voice steady. "Zachary, the apocalypse is coming. You're the only family I have left. Sis, I asked him to return to the team." Alexander's voice was calm, as if it didn't matter. The string in my heart snapped, and the veil covering my memories was lifted. No wonder Alexander had always seemed familiar to me. Alexander, Zachary's former team captain in the army. During the 2 years Zachary was in the army, I visited him once. On the way to his dormitory, I caught a distant glimpse of Alexander. He was wearing a military uniform, standing tall and straight, training new recruits. In my previous life, it was also he who saved me from the zombies in the village. After piecing everything together, a wave of sadness welled up in my nose. I tried hard to hold back the tears in my eyes, but the cup in my hand trembled uncontrollably. "Alexander, Zachary has already retired. He's just my brother now. I've stocked up so many supplies with great difficulty, just 3 years, and the vaccine will be developed. He's the only family I have left, and I want him to live. Sis, I once swore that if there was a war, I'd return at the call. Now that the country is in trouble, don't blame brother Alexander." Zachary interrupted me and hugged me tightly. Tears streamed down my face, and I couldn't say anything to stop him. Alexander remained silent, looking at me with deep, unfathomable eyes, as if there were 1,000 words he wanted to say. "I promise you, I'll do everything in my power to protect him." 10. In the end, Zachary left with Alexander. Thanks to my predictions, the country had made some preparations. As soldiers, Zachary and Alexander had to go back and fight. I saw them off at the door. Zachary got into the car with red eyes, not saying a word and not looking back. This brat didn't even know to give me a hug before leaving. Alexander stood beside me, looking at the increasingly abnormal sky. He said, "There's a self-defense tool I left in the drawer under the living room table, along with the instructions. You can use it to protect yourself. After we leave, seal the main door and turn on the high-voltage electric fence around the villa. Don't come out. It's not safe outside. If I can come back alive, would you be willing to?" He stopped halfway, falling silent. I looked up at him in confusion. He smiled self-deprecatingly and said, "Forget it. I'm leaving. I'll take care of your brother." With that, he walked to the car, opened the driver's door with force, and got in. The car started, and they disappeared from my sight in an instant. I watched their car until it was out of sight, and tears streamed down my face again. I went back to the living room and took out the box Alexander left. Inside was a silenced pistol and the instructions. 11. The apocalypse broke out. I turned on the high-voltage electric fence. This area was in the suburbs. And usually, few people came here. Now it was the same. There weren't many people around, just a few zombies wandering sporadically outside the villa. Less than a week later, the internet and power went out. The world order collapsed. I had to use the generator I had prepared earlier to supply electricity. 2 weeks after the apocalypse began, I was suddenly woken up by shouting. I vaguely heard someone calling my name and quickly checked the monitor. I found that Timothy and Mila had somehow found this villa area and were shouting for help at the gate, asking me to open the door. I got up, picked up the gun, and walked towards the door. I couldn't let them keep shouting here, or it would attract nearby zombies. I opened the small window specially made in the door. As soon as they saw me, they clung to me like a life-saving straw. They were crying bitterly. Gone were their former elegance. They were dirty all over, smeared with some unknown yellow liquid that gave off a disgusting stench of excrement. Sarah, open the door and let us in. Hurry, there are zombies nearby. They spoke one after another, disgusted by each other's smell, wanting to come in but not daring to get close to the door. I pinched my nose, frowned, and looked at them sharply. How did you know I was here? This was a suburban area, to make it seem like no one lived in the villa. I didn't even dare to turn on the lights at night. Kept the curtains and doors closed at all times, and tried not to make any noise. Their eyes shifted guiltily. After a long while, they stammered, speaking urgently, "We followed you all the way from the supermarket. Stop talking nonsense and let us in quickly. The zombies are coming." I was shocked, realizing I had been careless. This wasn't the time to regret. The zombies in the distance, having heard the commotion, were already coming over, since they had just turned into zombies. They moved slowly. "Besides you two, does anyone else know I'm here?" A bold idea flashed through my mind, but I remained calm on the surface and asked patiently, seeing the zombies approaching. They were in a panic and blurted out, "No one else. As long as you let us in, the three of us can live comfortably, and no fourth person will know. Otherwise, I'll tell everyone that there's a safe place here. You've stocked up supplies for several years in advance, right? If I tell others, you'll be doomed with us." Hearing this, I smiled faintly and reached into my pocket. Seeing this, they looked hopeful, but the next second, their faces turned pale with horror. "Sarah, I knew you were the best. What are you going to do?" Mila even hid behind Timothy. 12. I took out the gun Alexander left from my pocket and pointed it at the two outside the door, my voice cold. "You two were reborn too, weren't you? It's absurd that such heartless people can be reborn." The 3 or 2 zombies in the distance were only about 10 meters away from them and would reach them in less than 10 seconds. Timothy grabbed Mila and pushed her towards the zombies. Mila, caught off guard and unable to get up in time, was pounced on by the zombies and torn apart. "I didn't kill you in the last life. It was Mila who pushed you towards the zombies. It has nothing to do with me. Now I've avenged you. Let me in. I'll be your servant and repay you." Timothy knelt on the ground, looking back at the zombies from time to time and constantly pleading with me. I didn't expect Mila to die so easily, nor did I expect Timothy to be so shameless. I raised the gun and pointed it at him again. He had lost his humanity and didn't deserve to live. Timothy died. He was electrocuted by the high-voltage electricity. When I raised the gun, the zombies came up behind him, desperate to get in. He was electrocuted. One of the 3 zombies came to bite him. I raised the gun again and killed the zombie. I closed the small window tightly and went back to my room with a heavy heart. Every few days, someone would come to deal with and remove the zombies near the villa, but they never bothered me. After a few days, the bodies of Mila and the others outside the villa were gone. 13. In the following half year, I stayed alone in the villa. I would sleep until noon, get up and cook a simple bowl of noodles, eat alone, clean the house in the afternoon, and then turn on the tablet to watch movies or read novels I had downloaded before. In the evening, I would start cooking. After dinner, when it got dark, I would go to the basement and continue watching movies or reading novels. Only in the basement could I turn on the lights without worry. Day after day passed. Alexander and Zachary came twice during this time. The first time, Zachary was very excited. He had grown a lot and was no longer the naive younger brother he used to be. He cried and poured out his heart to me, telling me how helpless he felt watching so many people turn into zombies. The second time, he calmly told me about the zombie outbreak, which places had fallen, which places needed rescue, and how in one city, he had to kill his teammates with his own hands after they became zombies. Alexander mostly remained silent, not saying much. He just stared at me intently, like a woman waiting for her husband to return, as if he wanted to burn a hole through me with his gaze. Each time, they came in a hurry and left just as quickly. Every time I tried to make them take some supplies, they left without taking anything. 14. Meow, meow. One morning, before I got up, I was woken up by the meowing of a cat. Jojo stepped on my face. When I woke up, he rushed towards the door impatiently. Coming. I had to get up and follow him to the living room. Jojo was a male blue and white cat. He had a wife named Coco, also a blue and white cat. Alexander brought them to me the second time he came, saying he was afraid I'd be lonely and they could keep me company. I named them Jojo and Coco, hoping they would both be happy and safe. These days, Coco was pregnant, and her due date was approaching. I quickly followed Jojo to the living room. Coco had already given birth to 3 kittens. The mat I had laid out in advance was covered in blood. Coco lay weakly on the mat, meowing feebly. The umbilical cord of the 3rd kitten hadn't been bitten off yet. After leading me there, Jojo rushed to Coco's side, constantly licking her and looking at me for help from time to time. Don't be afraid. I quickly found some scissors, cut the umbilical cord, wiped the kitten clean, and wrapped it gently in a small cloth bag I had prepared. Then I quickly cleaned Coco and changed them to a more comfortable nest. A few days later, the little kitten could stagger around, and its tiny body melted my heart. My dull life now had something to rely on. After that, I was busy taking care of the kittens, and the days passed by without me noticing. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Do you think Alexander and Zachary will come back? I stroked the belly of the egg pancake, the kitten whose umbilical cord I cut, and said to myself. Egg Pancake was the name of the kitten whose umbilical cord I cut. On ordinary days, Jojo stayed by Coco's side all day. The other 2 kittens were lively and fought with each other. Only Egg Pancake was especially clingy to me and nestled on me all day, unwilling to leave. I haven't seen them for half a year. I wonder what's going on outside and if they're still safe. 15. On New Year's Eve the next day, I got up early, took out the Spring Festival couplets and the character food that I had stocked up before, and started pasting them. Meow, meow. Egg Pancake meowed and followed behind me. After finishing all this, I started preparing the New Year's Eve dinner. I caught a fish from the water tank, grabbed a few reed chickens from the chicken coop, took a few reed chicken eggs, took out some frozen meat from the refrigerator to thaw, and then went to the vegetable garden and picked a handful of green vegetables. I planned to make sweet and sour fish, kung pao chicken, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, braised pig's trotters, spicy shredded pork in hot oil, and blanched green vegetables. I secretly prayed that they would come back, but I sat at the dining table and waited until 12 o'clock at night, and my hope was dashed. Happy New Year. I held Egg Pancake in my arms and said softly to it, meow. I put it down. Just as I picked up the chopsticks and was about to start eating, I heard the sound of a car outside the door. I quickly got up. After seeing Alexander and Zachary standing outside the door through the monitor, I rushed out and remotely opened the door. Before I reached the door, I saw my silly younger brother rubbing his hands and breathing out. As soon as Alexander saw me, he frowned and raised his hand to take off his overcoat. When I got close, he draped the overcoat over me. Only then did I realize that I hadn't bothered to put on a coat. Looking at his thin outer clothes, I subconsciously wanted to take off the overcoat, but he stopped me with a stern voice. It's cold outside. You're a girl and can't catch a cold. Yeah, sis, you're so reckless. Do you really miss your dear brother that much? Haha. I raised my hand and punched Zachary. You talk too much. Hurry up and get in, or you'll freeze to death. I adjusted the overcoat. There was still some warmth inside the overcoat. My face turned slightly red, and I didn't dare to look Alexander in the face. Coming quickly, after saying that, the 3 of us stepped inside. When we got back to the living room, I reheated the meal. The 3 of us had a belated reunion dinner. After I washed up and came out, I didn't know where Zachary had gone. Only Alexander was standing by the living room window, looking into the distance. 16. Perhaps he heard the sound of my footsteps. He turned around, and his cold voice came. How have you been recently? I had no choice but to step closer and casually brought up a topic. Not bad. How's it going outside? Alexander stared at the dark night outside the window again. The situation in the north has basically been brought under control. After the new year, we're going to the south. We might stay there for a year or 2. I was taken aback. Would they be out of touch for a year or 2? My voice trembled. When are you leaving? Early tomorrow morning. I lowered my head and remained silent for a long time, pretending not to care. I said, okay, I see. I'm a bit sleepy, so I'm going to bed. After saying that, I turned around and walked towards the room. I didn't notice Alexander, who raised his hand as if to stop me but then clenched his fist in helplessness. As soon as I got back to the room, I saw Zachary sneakily stuffing something under my pillow. I suddenly spoke, which gave him a big fright. Zachary. What are you doing? He stood up in a panic, his eyes flustered, but then they suddenly fixed on something. I followed his gaze. Just as I was about to step forward to block it, he was faster. Isn't this Brother Alexander's gun? Why is it here? Sis, is this a token of love that Brother Alexander gave you? Do you like Brother Alexander? I quickly stepped forward and took the thing away, my face turning red. Alexander gave this to me for self-defense. What token of love? You're just a kid. Don't talk nonsense. And what did you put under my pillow? Seeing that I was about to turn over the pillow, Zachary became nervous. He lay down on the pillow, acting like a spoiled child. It's nothing. It's a New Year's gift, sis. Wait until I leave before you look at it. Thinking that he was going to the south, my heart became anxious again. Seeing that I was unhappy, Zachary awkwardly tried to comfort me. I couldn't stand his coy appearance, so I drove him out of the room. He was still persistent and mumbled as he walked out, "Sis, don't you really like Brother Alexander? He's really nice. I'd be at ease if I entrusted you to him." I was so embarrassed that I picked up the pillow in my hand and threw it at him, and said angrily, "I don't like him. Just leave already." Seeing that Zachary had really left, I walked towards the door to pick up the pillow. But then I saw a slender hand pick up the pillow before me. Alexander handed the pillow to me. His eyes filled with unfathomable light. I was so embarrassed that my toes curled. I had spoken so loudly, and he must have heard it, but he didn't mention what had just happened. He took out a bag of bullets from his pocket and handed it to me. Seeing that I didn't take it, he carefully said, "This is for your self-defense. It's not a token of love." Before I could say anything, he put down the bag and walked towards the door. He even closed the door handle of the room. Just when I thought he had left, he stopped, turned his back to me, and spoke again with a glimmer of hope in his voice. "If you allow it, you can treat it as a token of love." After saying that, he closed the door of the room, leaving me with a wildly pounding heart, like a deer crashing around in my chest. 17. After the New Year. Just as Alexander had said, he and Zachary left again. I was alone for another year, just like before. On New Year's Eve of the new year, I spent it with the cats. There were hardly any people around. I only occasionally shot a few zombies that strayed here. No, in March of the second year of the zombie outbreak, I was suddenly awakened by a nightmare. In the dream, I was pushed into a group of zombies. I tried to run away, but my face turned into Zachary's. I watched as he was pushed into the group of zombies. I wanted to save him. But I suddenly woke up from the dream. Somehow, tears flowed from the corners of my eyes. The pillow where I had been sleeping was wet. I got up and washed up, but the cats that usually liked to surround me were all gone. Jojo, Coco, Dudu, Bibu, Egg Pancake. I called out and walked towards the living room, but I found that all the cats were huddled together. Coco whimpered and kept licking Jojo, who was lying on the ground. A sense of panic welled up in my heart, for some reason. My heart ached so much that I fell to the ground. It took me 5 or 6 minutes to recover. I slowly walked closer and found Jojo lying stiffly on the ground. It had lost its breath without any warning. I had to find a place to bury it. I felt sad, both for its death and because Zachary would never see it again. Zachary had liked Jojo the most. He used to hold it in his arms and play with it every time he came. 18. I spent another half year taking care of a female cat and 3 kittens. According to the timeline of my previous life, in half a year, there would be news that the zombie virus had been overcome. On this day, the weather was extremely hot. I was sweating all over as usual, taking care of the kittens. Finally, I heard the long-awaited sound of a car outside the door. I ran to the door. Alexander was leaning against the car door in black clothes, exhaling a cloud of smoke. The cigarette in his hand flickered on and off. When he saw me, he stood up, threw the cigarette but on the ground, and stepped on it to put it out. Perhaps because he had been driving all night, he looked very haggard. I looked behind him, but I didn't see Zachary, who was usually lively. Maybe he didn't come this time. After all, there was a time when Zachary was on a mission and only Alexander came alone. "Aren't you coming in?" I said softly. Alexander didn't move. He just looked at me with deep eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "No, I just came to see how you were doing and give you something by the way." I felt a bit disappointed. "I'm fine. Look, I've even gained a few pounds, and Jojo has gone to heaven. What are you going to give me? And why didn't Zachary come with you? Does he not want to see his sister?" A look of pain flashed in Alexander's eyes. He clenched his fist but didn't answer. He turned around, took out a box from the car, and handed it to me. I stared at the box. The feeling of panic in my heart spread to all my limbs. I reached out my trembling hand to take it, but I didn't dare to open it. I just stared at Alexander with tears in my eyes, and the tears fell involuntarily. Alexander didn't dare to look me in the eyes. He just stared at his toes and remained silent for a long time. "I'm sorry." When I heard this, I suddenly couldn't hear anything in the world. All I could hear was the ringing in my ears. My mind went blank, and my body unconsciously fell forward. I crashed into Alexander's arms as he bent down to catch me. Sarah, 19. When I woke up, I was already in bed. I felt like I had poked my head out of a drowning world and was gasping for breath to stay alive. The box that I had held tightly in my arms before fainting was placed by the bed. Alexander was sitting on the chair in my room. When he saw me wake up, he handed me a cup of hot water. What happened to Zachary? Seeing that I didn't take the water, Alexander held the cup of hot water and slowly opened his mouth after thinking for a long time. To save a little girl. The little girl was crying in a dilapidated house. At that time, she was the only one in the house, and Zachary went in alone, but there were 6 adult zombies hiding in the house. We didn't have time. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I took the box by the bed. How long has he been gone? Half a year. I used all my strength to open the box. There weren't many things in it. It only contained Zachary's military uniform and a slightly rusty mechanical watch. Alexander, you didn't keep your promise when you took him away from me. I picked up the watch and put it on my chest. It was so strange. Now I had no relatives left in this world. I was all alone, but I didn't shed a single tear. I just lay back on the bed with the watch, turned my back to Alexander, and tried to speak in the calmest tone. You can leave. I want to be alone. I know his duty was to save people. He was just asking for trouble, and don't take what I just said to heart. Please close the door when you go out. Thank you. I didn't know if Alexander had left, but I seemed to hear the sound of the door closing. He must have left. Only when I was all alone in the world did I seem to regain control of my emotions and cried loudly under the quilt. This watch was obtained by my grandfather from a big shot during the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and was later passed on to my father, who was also a soldier. I still remember that when my father went on his last police mission, he took off the watch on his hand. Zachary snatched it from me before I could react. He declared that this was the inheritance, and as a man, he should inherit it. I stood aside and watched as my father, who was laughing heartily, solemnly put the watch on Zachary's hand and then stroked Zachary's head. After that, my father never came back. Later, my mother was depressed and committed suicide in the morning on a bright day to accompany my father. Only me and Zachary were left. No, it was just me. 20. Alexander stayed with me in the house for 2 days. After making sure that I was really okay, he left because of his official duties. Before he left, he revealed some good news to me. The country's research on the zombie virus had entered the experimental stage, and the zombie vaccine would probably be developed soon. When I saw him to the door, he hesitated and took out a letter from his pocket and handed it to me. Open it when you go back. I hope this letter can bring you some hope. I reached out and took it, but he suddenly stepped forward and hugged me tightly. I tried to break free, but he held me even tighter, just for a moment. Please, his pleading voice came from above my head. I gradually relaxed my body and stopped struggling. After about a minute, he let me go. After insisting on watching me go back inside, he drove away. I went back to the living room and opened the envelope. The heart that I had just managed to calm down was stirred up again. The tears wet the letter paper in my hand. 21. I'm Alexander. There are some things I wanted to tell you in person, but they're too heavy for me to say. I can only convey them to you in this letter. The first time I saw you, at that time, Zachary was my new recruit. When he led you through the training ground, I caught a glimpse of you from a distance. You were wearing a cotton coat and wrapped yourself up like a ball. Your cheeks were red from the cold. The second time I saw you, I was on a rescue mission. When I saw the zombies pouncing on you, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. Fortunately, you were okay. Later, I saw you a few times in the safe zone. You were brave and strong, and you made my heart flutter. After that, I was assigned the task of escorting a medical doctor. On the way, I happened to meet Zachary. He had been looking for you. When he learned that you were still alive, for the first time, he hugged me regardless of my authority as the team captain, and he was as happy as a lively child. But I didn't expect that on the day I brought Zachary back to the safe base, we could only watch you die. On that day, Zachary cried loudly, just like you did the other day. He said that it was just a moment away, just a moment, and you could have met each other alive. I always thought that if only I could have come back earlier, but I didn't expect that I would see you alive again. Yes, I was reborn too. You were so smart. You quietly moved into my villa and wanted to turn it into a safe house. I wanted to get closer to you, so every time Zachary came back, I tried my best to come with him, just wanting to see you one more time. I think you've noticed that I have feelings for you. I'm sorry about Zachary's sacrifice, and I'm in great pain. I don't know what identity I should use to see you again. Perhaps we should take some time to calm down. Also, in the previous life, Zachary lived a good life with your share. He said that his sister wouldn't want to see him trapped in pain for the rest of his life. Now, looking at his ugly face, I quickly took out a sharp pair of scissors from the pen holder. 22. After Alexander left, he never came again. Half a year passed without me noticing. The communication suddenly resumed, and my phone had the internet again. Gradually, I could receive the news released by the country. The world was back on track. On the day I packed my luggage and prepared to move out of the villa, the long-awaited sound of a car came from outside the door. Alexander, yeah.